By 1966, the hopeful anthem of the civil rights movement, "We Shall Overcome," was starting to feel tragically out of tune. For many Black Americans, the dream of peaceful integration seemed like a distant fantasy. Why? Because they were still facing relentless violence, economic despair, and a system of injustice that simply refused to change. Yes, the landmark Civil Rights and Voting Rights Acts were on the books. But on the ground, what did that mean for people facing police brutality, housing discrimination, and crushing poverty? The promise of equality felt abstract, almost meaningless. A new generation was rising, one that had watched peaceful protesters get attacked with batons and dogs, a generation tired of asking for their rights and now ready to take them. They didn't just want a seat at the table, they wanted to build their own. This is the story of how Black Power sparked a battle not just for rights, but for true autonomy, self-determination, and a legacy that continues to shape our world. The Civil Rights Movement, led by the incredible Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., had won monumental victories through nonviolent resistance. It had challenged the nation's conscience and torn down the legal framework of segregation. But for many, the pace of change was agonizingly slow, and the focus on integration seemed to ignore the deeper, more venomous roots of racism. This growing frustration was the fertile ground for a new, more radical ideology. Now, these ideas weren't entirely new. They were part of a long tradition of Black nationalist thought, from early 20th century leaders like Marcus Garvey, who championed economic self-sufficiency, to the Nation of Islam, which promoted Black separatism and racial pride. But it was the brilliant, fiery orator Malcolm X who became the true forerunner of the Black Power movement. His unflinching critique of white supremacy, his call for Black self-defense, and his vision of a global human rights struggle resonated deeply with a generation that felt nonviolence just wasn't enough. Malcolm's declaration that Black people had the right to defend themselves by any means necessary was a direct challenge to the philosophy of passive resistance. After his assassination in 1965, his defiant spirit and powerful ideas helped ignite a movement. That movement got its name in June of 1966. During the March Against Fear in Mississippi, the leader of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, Stokely Carmichael, gave a voice to years of pent-up anger. After being arrested for the 27th time, he stood before a crowd and declared, "We've been saying freedom for 6 years and we ain't got nothing. What we got to start saying now is Black Power." The chant was electric. It was a roar that signaled a profound shift. Black Power, as Carmichael and others saw it, wasn't about seeking approval from white society. It was about turning inward to build political and economic strength within the Black community. It was a call for self-determination, the right for Black people to control their own neighborhoods, schools, and governments. It meant self-reliance, moving beyond asking for jobs to creating them. And most visibly, it was a powerful embrace of racial pride. The movement sparked a celebration of Blackness, of African heritage, history, and art, forcefully rejecting centuries of internalized shame. It was a psychological liberation, a declaration that Black was and is beautiful. The call for Black Power wasn't just a slogan, it was a blueprint for action. And no group embodied that action more vividly than the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. Founded in Oakland, California in October 1966 by 2 college students, Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, the party was a direct response to police brutality. Newton and Seale were sharp students of the law. They knew that California law allowed citizens to openly carry firearms, so they organized armed patrols, cop watching, to monitor the police in Black neighborhoods, standing at a legal distance with their weapons in plain sight. It was a powerful deterrent. That image of armed Black men in leather jackets and berets policing the police was terrifying to white America. But for a community that had felt defenseless for so long, it was deeply empowering. The Panthers weren't looking for a fight, but they refused to be victims. Their 10-point program laid out their demands: which they considered basic human rights: full employment, decent housing, an education that taught their true history, and an immediate end to police brutality. The Panthers, like other Black Power leaders, also drew a clear line connecting their struggle at home to anti-colonial fights for liberation across Africa, Asia, and Latin America. They saw the struggle in Oakland or Chicago as part of a worldwide movement of oppressed people fighting against imperialism. But this defiant stance came at a huge cost. The U.S. government, specifically J. Edgar Hoover's FBI, saw the Black Panther Party as a grave threat to the nation. Through its illegal counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO, the FBI worked to dismantle the movement with surveillance, infiltration, and outright violence. Charismatic leaders, like Chicago's Fred Hampton, were assassinated in police raids, a brutal symbol of the government repression aimed at crushing the movement. The Panthers' advocacy for armed self-defense, a logical response to systemic violence, made them a prime target and fueled a media narrative that often ignored the heart of their mission: power for the people. While the image of armed militants often dominates the memory of Black Power, its most radical and lasting legacy might be its vision for community service. The Black Panther Party's mantra was, "Serve the people," and they put this into practice through an incredible network of social programs they called survival programs. These were designed to meet the immediate needs of the community and build self-sufficiency from the ground up. Perhaps the most famous was the Free Breakfast for Children program. Starting in 1969, Panther chapters across the country provided free, healthy meals to kids before school, understanding that a hungry child can't learn. By the end of its first year, the program was feeding tens of thousands of children in cities across America every single day. The program's success highlighted a nationwide crisis and put immense public pressure on the U.S. government to expand its own federal school breakfast initiatives. But the Panthers didn't stop at breakfast. They established free health clinics in communities ignored by the mainstream medical system, offering basic checkups and pioneering sickle cell anemia testing. They ran free ambulance services, gave away free groceries, organized clothing drives, and offered legal aid to help people defend their rights. They even created liberation schools to teach children Black history and political consciousness. These programs were self-determination in action. They were a declaration that the community wouldn't wait for a racist system to provide for it. It would provide for itself. And it was often women who were the backbone of these efforts, organizing and running the clinics and breakfast programs, fighting both racial and gender oppression. This drive to build power from within was mirrored in the era's cultural explosion. The Black Arts movement, a close cousin of Black Power, saw artists, poets, and musicians express the Black experience with unapologetic pride. The Afro hairstyle and African-inspired clothes became symbols of this new consciousness, a rejection of white beauty standards. It was about seizing control of one's own identity and forging a collective spirit that would inspire generations. The Black Power movement was never one single thing. It was a complex and diverse wave of ideas and organizations. Its more militant wings frightened mainstream America and brought down intense and violent government suppression, which contributed to its decline by the mid-1970s. And yet, its impact is undeniable. The movement fundamentally shifted the conversation from simply asking for rights to demanding power. It instilled a deep sense of racial pride and self-worth that resonates to this day. The focus on Black history, culture, and political autonomy became embedded in universities and communities, politicizing and educating generations to come. You can draw a straight line from the core ideas of Black Power to today's social justice movements. When Black Lives Matter activists chant, "Black Lives Matter," and protest police brutality, they're echoing the Panthers' 10-point program. When they demand community control and advocate for investing in social programs instead of just policing, they are building on the legacy of the survival programs. The raised fist, the symbol of Black Power at the 1968 Olympics, is still a universal sign of solidarity and resistance. The battle for true autonomy, for the power to control one's own destiny, didn't end in the 1970s. The Black Power movement unleashed a radical new vision of what it means to be free, a vision that continues to inspire, to challenge, and to shape the ongoing struggle for justice in America and around the world. The story of Black Power is a story that continues to evolve and inform our present. If you want to continue exploring the history that has shaped our world, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let us know in the comments what aspect of this movement you find most powerful. And for those who want to learn more, we've included a list of resources and further reading in the description below. Thank you for watching.